Hey, how's it going? We are here for day 2 of the 100-day challenge, and I'm going to try to be active in the chat. Never tried that before. So just type hello. So far, no watchers. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so 100-day challenge. You commit to 100 days of working on your comic project. There's a Facebook group. I figured what the heck, it might help me keep going. So 30 minutes a day, and you got to vlog it. So this is day 2, and I am working on, this is a carryover from yesterday. Remember, I was working on this panel, and I got a lot more than 30 minutes worth of work done, which I'm happy with. But this is episode 2 of Dinosaur Man, and we've got several things going on here. We've got, I got to work on Telexus transport here. I got to get the guys in there. And I've also got Dinosaur Man panel down here at the bottom. So I think we'll start here at the top and get going. So I'm not really thrilled with how these guys look right here. So let's remodel them. All right, so let's see. So these guys are probably at this height. One's talking to the other one. These guys do. Knock back the old drawing of it. This one here. Hey, Geekadrome. Live and PGH. Hello, everyone that is watching at Geekadrome. Remind myself what this guy looks like. Create a temporary character. So So as I was saying, this is episode 2, the first set of panels for Dinosaur Man, and it's hosted on the Webtoon platform, which is really nice, especially on a smart device, iPad or phone or Android or whatever. A lot of good stuff there. So that'll be the windshield. Big, massive. Shoulder pads. These guys are kind of like, I don't know, Rob Liefeld style characters. Unnecessary shoulder pads and belts and stuff. I figured that aesthetic was pretty good for these guys. Got a question from the shop. Go right ahead. This is Clip Studio, formerly called Manga Studio here in the States, but it's always been Clip Studio in Japan. And it is the predominant application that pretty much all comics are made in now. You know, you got the few diehards that are still doing everything traditionally on Bristol board because they'll sell their originals and whatnot, but pretty much all mainstream comics, if they don't fall into that type of thing, are done in this program. It's tailored just for this kind of thing. And it's extremely affordable too. So if you're just starting out, I mean, $50, and it's pretty much replaced Photoshop for most of my coloring needs. Something else I want to show off I'm working on is a handout card for comic shops and for going to the conventions. So this is a prototype of the first side of it. Little out-of-sequence adventure for Dinosaur Man and Telexis here. That was another neat project. Alright, so that guy's looking pretty good. Get his partner in here. Tracing as a start for beginners, well, I'm all for it actually, but not in the way that you might think. You definitely don't want to trace other comic art because, well, I mean, you can do it for practice, but you're also going to be copying their mistakes too. So one of the things that I encourage when I'm done teaching is get some tracing paper and get photographs and pictures. You can get them off the web. You could lay it up in a new layer in Photoshop or in Clip Studio, and you know, I can kind of demonstrate right quick what I would mean by that. Let me just get a. Alright, so I really enjoy, I don't get to teach enough, but I enjoy explaining this kind of thing. So here I just grabbed this off the internet, and this is just for developing and learning. So you're all set to go, and the whole thing about drawing, when you see somebody who sits down and draws something, it's because they've drawn that hundreds and hundreds of times. That's why it looks so easy. So you have to build up a catalog of things in your mind that you're familiar with. So as far as tracing goes, you can lay things up in a new layer and just try to use it to learn the shapes that build something up. Like, here in this cat, I can trace over and get a general idea of the shapes involved. Because we can all draw basic shapes. We can all draw triangles, circles, and whatnot. So when you're learning a new subject matter, I would approach tracing like this, to where you're getting used to the shapes that make things up. And the cat character Spaz in Dinosaur Man, he is based off my cat who passed away last year. I don't really draw a lot of cats. I draw mostly like superheroes and wrestlers and stuff. So I went over some photos of him and just kind of got used to some of the shapes. And then you can take those shapes and you can distort them, stylize them, and come up with your own, versions of things. So just like in this example here, just by drawing over, not literally tracing, but more appropriately drawing over, I was able to quickly get the basic structure of a cat's face. And so that's what I would do if you're considering working on something and you want to learn it. Do something like that to get used to it, and then you can start doing your own versions. So hopefully that was a good answer. Trying to remember the dialogue that I wrote for this scene. It's mostly just kind of sketched out. I typically don't do the word balloon stuff until I'm ready to do it, but I have a general idea of the kinds of things that are going on. Like, basically in this scene, we're getting to know these guys a little bit, so they're just kind of talking casually, and it's not like, we're so evil. Now they're like planning a vacation, basically, after they get done with his job. Alright, so it's working okay. I'm going to have to adjust this. That looks much better. It's one of the most wonderful things about working digitally is that you can easily go in and correct your mistakes without ruining a bunch of the work you've done. So that's all on that layer. Just get rid of some of this. All right, we can go back in. He's got two legs. He's got two legs. The origin story for Spaz, when it comes out later on, will explain why he's got three arms. But I'll just say it's kind of an allusion to the origin of the Fantastic Four and leave it at that. Yeah, he walks upright for the most part, acts like a general cat, but he's got that extra mutated arm. Alright, so I think I got enough to go on. Running into my layer mask. That's what's going on there. There it is. Also got to keep in mind that I'm zoomed in on a small panel. So that if I put lots of details into it like I would on the other panel, it's going to muck it up a bit. So I'm going to do my best to be doing this about 1 o'clock every day. I think that time works out pretty well. You can like my Facebook page and whatnot, and I'm going to try to always update that with a schedule, because I definitely want to keep at this 100-day challenge, and so that gives me dedicated time. I've got other projects that I'm working on right now, and I'm trying to balance out drawing this comic and working on those as well. New wrestling that I got to work on. I announced on a podcast filming down in New Orleans a new piece that I'm working on wrestling-wise. So those of you who have picked up any of my art there at Decadrome, the wrestling ones, I got a new one I'm working on featuring the match between Chris Jericho and Alpha. The Alpha and the Omega, Kenny Omega. So that'll be the new one for January. We'll start working on that. This guy's got 3 fingers. So I've got a question for everybody watching. Is this interesting? Because honestly, for me, I think I'd be kind of bored. I mean, I like watching other people draw. I can't say I would enjoy watching myself. Oh my gosh, the Alpha vs. Omega match. That, to me, that's one of the best matches in history of wrestling. You know, I mean, at least it falls into that category. I was automatically thinking that it was like a, you know, when Andre the Giant gave Hogan the nod, and when Hogan gave Ultimate Warrior the nod. We've got all these matches throughout the history of wrestling where the seasoned vet is like shining the spotlight on the new up-and-coming guy, and I think that's what we had. Oh, that's cool. Well, thank you, guys. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're watching, and that's awesome. Hopefully, you've read the first episode. I want to grow that Dinosaur Man comic and get it done. My plan is to get about 5 episodes in, and I'm going to start working on the origin book, which will have the origin of Spaz and origin of Dinosaur Man and Telexus and the main villain, which they won't be fighting for a little while here. But the main story will be told on Webtoons and use a published book and maybe do 2 a year or something like that, depending, and get other artists to collaborate to do like side stories and stuff, because again, in this universe there's no throwaway characters. So I've got characters I'll introduce on the Webtoon that would make for great stories just on their own. But yeah, getting back to that match, when Jericho landed that drop kick, mid-air drop kick to Kenny's knee, I could not leave my seat. I had to watch that whole thing because that was just an amazingly well-timed maneuver. That was impressive. What's been the panel you spent the most time on for Dreaded Dinosaur Man? I'm actually looking for something. Sorry to I forget that this thing is just following the Clip Studio window, so any other window that pops up, you don't get to see it. I mean, honestly, I think it was this jumping panel for like everything else. I didn't really time in any of them, but I know I did redraw this twice because I didn't like how the angle was. I wanted to get this really nice sense of speed with him jumping down the cliff, because I knew in the next segment we're doing something a little bit different with telling the story. So I wanted to get that sense of speed out of the way and show that. Then we cut away to this kind of slow things down. We learn about these characters. And then if you look here, while these guys are talking, we get Dinosaur Man on the side panel as he's coming down. And he realizes, oh, it's not looking so good. I think the timing's a bit off. And then, of course, if you can make out anything from this panel, he's landed, and it's not going to work out so well. But yeah, I think this bottom panel is going to be one that I'll spend quite a bit of time developing. Another little tidbit of information for our aspiring artists in the audience. Notice how I just rotated stuff. The main reason why you want to rotate your paper and turn it is that your hand, whichever one you're drawing with, has a natural tendency to move a certain direction more comfortably. And so it's easier for you to create a straight line doing that, or, in most any other lines. And you can kind of figure out how that is if you take a straight on piece of paper and you try to draw, a perfect circle, there's going to be a point in time where it's going to get a little wonky on you. So you want to try to turn your drawing surface to match that more comfortable angle. And for me, it's more of a down and to the left. This guy in his 80s shades. Right. Let's see. I think. Okay. Bring this back in. Wait a minute. Knew something wasn't quite right about that. So if they're driving like this, perspectives, kids, it's a thing. And it's set up for like two different viewing angles. That's not what I wanted. Alright, so there's the edge of our cliff there. Rocks and stuff, dust. I'll do a lot of this with color. Put some behind the dome, so there's some things that are interesting to look at. Because she's in a clear crystal, like, dome structure. And those are just rocks. Alrighty. A little over on time, but that's okay. I'm going to finish this panel up before calling it a day. Get on to some other projects, some of which don't involve drawing. Involve bathroom tile. Okay, so here we got straps. It might look better without them. These windshields will be on a separate layer entirely and made out of a completely different color. That way when I go to ink this, fill these shapes in, and they'll still be over the line art, so they're over everything else. and we'll have some transparency and stuff to it, which will look really nice. Thumb there. Sweet. Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, it's definitely sausage making. Like these two guys here, I'm not going to redraw them. I'm just going to copy and paste them down here so I don't have to, so I can save a little bit of time that way. This one will be, this bottom panel will be tomorrow. So we'll work on that tomorrow and get that done. And then this page will be inked and ready for color, and I can work on the next section. Awesome. Awesome. Save that. And there's our little, don't need that. Alright, so that's going to do it for me today. I'm going a little bit over time, but that's fine. And I'm really happy to see you guys come in and watch with me. That's awesome. And I've really enjoyed it. Answer questions and stuff. That's been cool. So if you haven't already, go to the Webtoon, download it on your phone, or you can go to it on the website and sign up for an account. Check out Dinosaur Man Episode 1. Subscribe. Leave some comments. That would be cool. And if you haven't done any of that stuff already, be on the lookout for this. There'll be a pile of them on Paul's counter, hopefully by next month. And so a little fun mini adventure here to propagandize Dinosaur Man to the country. Anyway, thank you guys again. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, and we'll get this last panel. Thanks.